Hello and welcome back with another video today, guys. And I know it's been a long time since I've last made a video, but I've just been adjusting to new lifestyle changes, new things, new stuff going on over here. The lessons have started sort of back up outside. I've got 2 lessons a week plus Sensei Robert's lessons, and obviously we're both really busy. So what we've decided to do now is we've decided to make one video per week. Generally will probably come out on a Thursday. This is because it gives me and Sensei Robert enough time to be able to plan and plot what we're doing, and obviously not kill ourselves too much. So today's video is going to be all about what you should be training, how you should be training it, but it's going to be like the top 5 sort of stuff. Yeah, so top 5 best exercises, top 5 worst things that you could do if you're trying to train for being a fighter, going for the world championships, etc. like that. Alright, so enjoy the video and let's get into it. So let's start off with the top 5 exercises you should be doing if you're training to do anything like karate, taekwondo, boxing, MMA, all that sort of stuff. All this stuff is geared around being a fighter in some respect. Okay, so number 1, and that is any plyometric movement. Okay, I'm talking about your burpees, your star jumps, your skipping. I'm talking about your clap and push-ups. All that stuff is brilliant to help increase the fast twitch muscle fibers in order for you to be able to throw a punch and move around really, really quickly. So here's a few examples.
So these are CrossFit burpees. You want to go all the way down, chest to floor, and then you want to spring back up. This is great plyometric work, and it works your entire body. It does your core, does the whole thing. Plyometric push-ups with just a little bit of a jump at the end. No one says you have to clap your hands together as you're doing it. This is good enough, and this also just helps build that plyometric work. Box jumps are a great form of plyometric work, as demonstrated here. You only need to do about 3 sets of 10 of these, and you'll notice a difference. Skipping is a very excellent form of cardio, not only just plyometric work, but this is also good for you when you're bouncing around on the mat. It also just helps build those muscles too.
Number 2. So what we can work on now is we're also going to be working on some bag over as well. It's one of the best things that you can possibly do. So if you don't have yourself a bag over here, you can do shadow boxing as well. Shadow boxing is just as good. In fact, in some ways it's probably better because you don't have to add resistance. So you've really got to put your own resistance on. Makes you work a little bit harder. Okay, but if you do have a bag, however, then that's really good. If you don't have a bag, you have focus pads, you can get someone to hold them for you, and you can do some focus bag work. Here's a few examples.
So here we have bag work, and what I like to do is I like to do 10 sets of 3-minute rounds. So I'll do 3 minutes on the bag. It doesn't matter what you do. Pounce in, 1, 2, 3, 4, back out, 1, 2, 3, 4, kick, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, duck. Whatever it is, it's up to you. I like to do 10 sets of 3 minutes on each of these, 30 seconds rest in between. So as we have here, we have shadow boxing. I'm moving around left, right, upside down, all over the place. Okay, so make sure you just get yourself moving, get that heart rate up. 10 rounds of 3 minutes, just like as if you was on the bag. Throw some kicks in there, throw some ducks in there, and you'll be all good to go.
And this brings us to number 3, which is high intensity cardio training. So things like sprints, really quick durations of high intense burpees, or even if you're on the bag, you can punch the bag really, really fast. Now high intensity cardio training is normally like this. You normally do about 30 seconds of really, really going for it, and then you have about like a 15 to 20 second rest period. Okay, you want to spike that heart rate up and then let it come down gradually and spike it back up again. Do this for about 15 to half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour, and you'll start to really increase your endurance and your speed with your techniques. If you're doing more things like punching and stuff, that's probably better. So if you were doing high intensity bag work, that would probably be more beneficial. But sprinting, burpees, star jumps, skipping, all of that, just the same. If you've got a bike, high intensity bike riding is also just as good as well. So high intensity training, here's a few examples.
So if you're doing hill sprints like I'm doing right now, then give yourself a set number of hill sprints to do, maybe 10, 12, depending on the steepness of your hill. If you're doing anything that involves stationary, then do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. This is a good example of going for time. So I'm stationary at the moment. That means I'm not moving around. I'm just staying on the spot. So I'll be doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Go for it 30 seconds, rest 30 seconds. Same with this thing here, and like the sprints, you want to be doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and then you want to do this maybe for about a 15-minute long period. Sit some music on, take your mind somewhere else, and just do the best you can.
If I look like I'm getting sweaty or going red in the face, it's because I'm filming each exercise after I've told you which exercise I'm going to be starting to demonstrate. So that's why. Anyway, let's bring ourselves on to exercise number 4. That's long-winded, moderate intensity cardio. So what do I mean by that? Meaning things like cycling or running, but for a long period of time. So around an hour at a time. Yeah, you're going to burn more calories, and it's going to increase your endurance for long-winded periods of cardio. This is because sometimes you could be fighting on the fighting mat, like you only get 2.5 minutes or maybe 1 minute 30 depending on your age group, but it adds up. Say you get through to the next round, then that's more time. And then say you get through to the finals, and then you don't get a rest at all. I've had it in certain cases where someone has done really well, they got themselves through to the finals, the person they was up against had a whole round's worth of rest, and this person's had about 30 seconds worth of rest. So you really want to increase your cardio endurance with both HIIT and long-winded endurance cardio. I'm going to give you a few examples now.
So as you can see, I'm on the bike, and if you don't have a bike, don't worry, then you can always get a gym membership, and all this equipment will be available to you there. What I like to do is just sit down and start riding for an hour. I'll do uphills, I'll do downhills, I'll do fast, and I'll just stick something on the TV and watch it while I'm doing it. Now this is actually a personal favourite of mine. I can row for days. So basically you just sit there, you stick your resistance on, and you start trying to keep up a pace. Rowing is a really excellent way of doing it because you have a little bit of added resistance every single time you're pulling, so you're also working a little bit of strength as well as cardio. So I really recommend rowing, highly rate that one.
And number 5, we've got resistance band training. Okay, this sort of training is very, very good for you if you're learning to sort of get the power into your punches, work your core, and also build a little bit of strength along the way as well, guys. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of some good things to do with the resistance band here.
What's really good about the resistance bands is that you can really learn to get the technique down with what it is you're doing here. So I'm learning how to punch, I'm punching straight, so it stops my arms from swinging out. I'm trying to keep that resistance band straight as I'm doing it, twisting my wrist, really trying to really think about the movement of which it is I'm doing. This will stop your punches going all over the place eventually. The same can be applied for kicks, as I'm doing with my giri here, and you're going to see with Sokoto and Mawashi giri all at the same time here. Obviously, if you want more resistance, just add more resistance bands, or maybe tighten the resistance band up a little bit to give yourself a bit more resistance when you're doing the kicks. If you're a kata competitor, then I highly recommend that you tie it around your waist and then transition yourself into your stances. Remember, we've got a whole video geared around this sort of stuff as well, so go check that one out. It goes a bit more in depth than this video.
I've also got another video just covering a load of resistance band work if you guys want to go and watch that as well. Link won't be in the description, it'll be there. It's not very hard to find. But moving on now to the 5 worst exercises you shouldn't be doing, okay? I say you shouldn't be doing. There's a couple of exercises you shouldn't be doing, and the rest is stuff that you should be doing that you're probably not doing, but you should be doing, okay? So it's kind of like a 5 best things to do still, but there's not really a lot in terms of exercise. If you're exercising, you're exercising at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Anyway, so number 1, what you shouldn't be doing really is training heavy weights all the time. Now hear me out, I like training heavy weights myself. I like doing my biceps, my chest, my back, my shoulders, I like doing all that. But
it's not very good for mobility and training on the mat. You want to be more plyometric. You want to be able to move around. You want to be fast. And you can't really do that if you're packing on loads of muscle by training these muscle groups all the time. Not saying you can't train strength, just don't do it all the time and don't prioritize it over your plyometric work and cardio. And take this from someone who's always been in the heavyweight categories himself. When you're fighting taller people, they're kind of in that category because of their height. They're not big, they're not bulky, they're just really tall. So they're going to be heavier, and they're going to be able to shift their weight around quickly as well, which isn't exactly what you're going to be because...
Number 2, something you shouldn't be doing is only relying on karate lessons. Maybe you're training twice a week, maybe training 3 times a week. Okay, that's fair enough, but only relying on that to build your strength and overall wellness in the martial arts sport, then it's not really going to be enough. You need to make sure you're training outside of the dojo as well. A lot of the exercises I've given you here are things that you can do in the gym or you can do at home. Okay, these are all things you should be applying to your training. Martial arts training isn't just sort of turning up to the club and doing a bit here. You can do that, that's fine, But if you want to move on to bigger and better things within the club, maybe going on to world championship level and stuff like that, you really need to put the practice hours in, you really need to put the training in. Same thing if you want to go for a grading. Okay, so it's an all-rounding training. Okay, you'll need to build every aspect. Not to mention, if you turn up to lesson one time and we're doing something like, I don't know, self-defense training or preemptive strike training, it's not really going to be as intense as if we're doing a full-on lesson of bag work, pad drills, and stuff like that, you know. So you've got to bear that in mind as well. Not every lesson is going to be really intense, and if you're only training those 3 times a week and you turn up to a lesser intense lesson, then you know you're going to be wasting your time there if you want to get that. Part 3. Okay, so this one comes to back to number 1, training for mass. Okay, being a really big power lifter all the time requires to eat a lot of calories. The heavier you are, the more heavier things you can lift is the idea between that. What you want to not do is do that exactly. You don't want to eat loads, you don't want to get big, you don't want to be slow on the mat, you want to be fast, you want to be nimble, you want to be flexible as well. So if you're not, you know, if you're not doing the necessary training, if you're not doing the HIIT training, if you're not doing the plyometric training, then you're not really training for that sport, you're training for heavy lifting instead, and that's a different sport on its own. Not saying that you won't be strong, not saying that you won't be powerful, and you might be moderately fast. However, if you're slower than the people in your category because of your mass, then that's a problem.
Exercises such as the deadlift are good exercises, and they should be done in moderation, but only if you're trying to train for powerlifting and strength in general. So like if you're doing deadlifting all the time, it's not really going to benefit you in sport karate. It may benefit you in the street because you'll be stronger, but it depends what you want to focus on.
Number 4, something that you should be doing that you're probably not doing, and that is stretching. And the reason why I know that is because the majority of my students, even my high grades, don't stretch enough. They stretch while they're at lessons, which kind of goes back to only relying on lessons to do stretching. Okay, sometimes we might have an entire lesson based on stretching. Other times we might not really do any stretching at all, just because we're working a little bit lighter and there's not really a lot of need to stretch in that regards. So don't rely on lessons to stretch. Make sure you're stretching at home. You should be doing it every single day. In fact, stretching is so important to your training. If you're not stretching, you're not really training. So make sure that you're straining, you're stretching your legs, you're stretching your lower back, especially when you're doing lots of kicks, or if we're using battle ropes, you're going to be putting a lot of strain on your lower back, and you're going to be working your glutes a lot, which is also connected to the muscles in your lower back. So that's why you're going to get a lot of lower back pain. If your job involves sitting down a lot, or maybe a desk job, or maybe you're a cab driver, then you're going to find yourself getting a lot of lower back stiffness, which means you're going to really want to be working out you want to really be stretching those lower back muscles. Okay, it's all really, really important, and working your core.
So here's a stretch that's really, really good for my lower back, and it will probably be really, really good for yours as well. What you do is you bring your leg up, you bring it over, keep one leg straight while you're on the floor and twist like so, as you can see me demonstrating here. This next stretch is something that you can try when you wake up in the mornings. If you have a stiff back, maybe upper or lower, then this is something I highly recommend. It's something I do myself every morning when I wake up as well. This is an excellent glute stretch. What you want to do is you just want to bring one leg up, cross it over, and then hold on and squeeze nice and tight. To get a little bit more activation as well in the hamstrings, you can just straighten your legs straight up into the air. Make sure you repeat on both sides. This is a nice simple soles of your feet together stretch. Try and get your knees to touch the floor. If you're struggling to get your knees to touch the floor, you can use your elbows to push those knees down. Make sure you bring your heels closer to your groin area rather than pushing them out. And you want to try and lean forward and get your head to touch the floor in front of your toes. This next stretch is also really nice for the lower back, and it's also good for the hips as well. You just want to sort of bend your legs around and twist your upper torso facing the opposite direction to where your legs are facing. Just really twist yourself. Nice simple groin and hamstring stretch. Make sure your toes are pointed to the ceiling, chest goes to your knee. You want to hold each one of these stretches for about 30 to 40 seconds. That's all of them that I've demonstrated so far.
To our 5th and final thing that you're not doing that you should be doing, and that is training your core. Okay guys, I'm a believer in training abs pretty much every single day. If you're using weight training, yeah, you're probably engaging your core a lot as well. If you're doing bag work, you're engaging your core. If you're running, you're engaging your core. If you're spin biking, you're engaging your core. But not as much as actually training your core. Okay, and I'm talking about really spending some time. You don't need to spend long. You don't need to spend half an hour every single day training your abs. All you need to do is you need to take a good intense workout, just training the abs, really putting them under a fair bit of stress, and that's all you need to do every single day. I spend 7 to 8 minutes a day just training my abs, okay? And there is actually a video link down below, not on this video but on another video of a 7-minute ab training session that comes from Jeff Cavalier from AthleanX. Definitely go check that out. It's brilliant stuff. I've been doing it every single day and I've definitely noticed an increase in my core strength. So do that every single day. You will see an improvement. Yeah, you're going to be a little bit tight, you're going to be a little bit sore when you're first starting, but eventually you're going to start to sort of get used to it a little bit. The tightness and soreness will probably never really go away. Don't forget, you should rest your abs as well. I say train them every single day, but you don't have to do that. Once every other day is just fine. At the end of the day, it's just a muscle, and resting is the best way to repair your muscles and get stronger. However, I just train them a little bit every single day just to keep it up, just to keep the strength up. I do rest them. Today I'm resting them. Well, I was until I started doing this video, but you know what I'm saying.
So this ab exercise is called figure of eights, and it's also working your obliques. You just got to keep your legs straight and put a little bit of a twist in as you're going around. This is just another version of leg raises. What you want to do is you want to keep your legs above the floor, do 2 pulses all the way up, let your lower back off the floor and then release. But do not let your legs touch the floor each time. Next up, we have windshield wipers. What you want to do is you want to engage your obliques and you want to go down to the side. Don't let your feet touch the floor, and then raise them back to the middle, and then you want to raise them to the opposite side. Keep that going. Next up, we have the old traditional crunch setup. Make sure you put your hands behind your head and you just want to raise your shoulder blades off of the floor. You don't want to come all the way up. You want to keep your core engaged the entire way through. Just keep your shoulder blades off the floor. If you find plank way too easy, then you can make it a little bit harder by bringing your elbow to your knee each time, alternating different sides. This will just keep your core engaged a little bit harder and a little bit stronger, making that exercise just a little bit harder.
And a bonus, number 6, really good thing that you should be doing with your training is yoga, okay? Now yoga is very, very closely linked with martial arts, as it kind of builds your core, it builds your flexibility, and it's good for your mental health as well. It's really, really good. It's nice and relaxing. It releases stress. You should be if you're not doing yoga already, then give it a try. You only need to do about half an hour of it, 3 days a week. Just just to sort of casually get yourself into it. And if you really like it, you can do it every single day as well. It is tough. It's not easy, but what it does is it helps build your core, helps build your flexibility. It'll all be very, very useful for your martial arts training as well. So if you've got half an hour out of your day to spend just doing a little bit of yoga, maybe just flick onto YouTube. Put it this way, guys, if you've got enough time to sit down on the sofa and watch your favourite TV show after you've gone to work for half an hour, then you've probably got enough time to incorporate a little bit of yoga into your day as well. Same with your training. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Will be another video next week. Might be sort of discussing a little bit more about the nutritional side, what you should or shouldn't be eating if you're training for higher competition and stuff like that. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not going to say exactly what is best, what isn't. I'm just saying what's worked for me. And over the last few months, I've definitely noticed a massive difference in my weight loss and my well-being as a whole. So I just want to share that with you guys as well. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, and I'll see you next time.